Thanks a lot. Hey, time for Money Tuesday. What's the value of a college education? Well, Stewart Welch has some thoughts on that today. We're going to get into that in a moment, but we're going to talk a little bit about the stock market first. It's good to see you, Stewart. Thanks so much for being with us. Okay, on Friday, Dow Jones, after unemployment numbers were disappointing, or job creation numbers were disappointing, couple that with what's happening in Europe. Wow, Dow Jones just dropped to about 274 points, I believe, or 267, somewhere around there. Since then, it just has come back and forth. What's going on?
Well, there's a lot of nervousness, and I think I'm not sure that it's misplaced. If you see what's going on in Europe, particularly with Greece and everything with the European Union, it is pretty scary over there. And if they don't do something, there's a real risk that could break into you could have a big event over there and it could break into a global recession. So investors are, I think, rightfully nervous.
One of the financial writers yesterday, I believe this was one that's going with Reuters, made the argument that, look, in this global recession, the U.S. was the one that had the brunt of it on the front end, and it really hurt the U.S. on the front end. Now we're slowly coming out of it, but now we're seeing Europe get hammered with what we were going through a couple of years ago.
And that is true, and there's a risk that we could have another recession. This time it'll be led by Europe.
Okay, so that's the concern everybody has out there. Let's talk about Facebook. You and I were talking a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. You said this is probably why, if you're a small-time investor like everybody who's more or less that's going to be watching us right now, this is why you probably don't want to put your money into it. Facebook starts out at a $38 IPO. It's right now at $26.90. It keeps on dropping. Only gained 4 times in the last 11 days of trading.
Well, Rick, I remember being right here and saying that it might be a good business, but it might not be a good investment. It's turned out to be a bad investment. A lot of people disappointed with that. And it's, I've seen analysts say that it's worth as little as $7. So, a lot of analysts are kind of settling around $25. Right. They've got a big job ahead of them. They got to figure out how to do it.
Let's quickly hit on this. We mentioned the value of a college education. You see that kind of plays into the insiders in Wall Street talking up, okay, we'll take care of you. It kind of creates that resentment from folks out there in the community a lot of times, in particular that 1% that you talk about. And you say, let's talk about the 1%.
Well, there has been a lot of anger from what we call Occupy Wall Street, and it's the 99% mad at the 1%. So what we did was we dissected the 1%. Who are these people? Yeah. And did they just show up at the 1% club? Well, it turns out they worked their way to the top. If you look at 4 characteristics, the first one, overwhelmingly they're college graduates, many with advanced degrees. Number 2 is they are basically workaholics. These are people that get in and go to work and work really hard, focus on their career. And most of them are probably entrepreneurs, people that have started business, and they're really the driving force for creating jobs in America. And then lastly, they tend to be parents, 2-parent families that are raising their children, 2-parent households. And so when we look at them, we're kind of been vilifying them. Maybe we ought to be emulating them. And I think one of the keys there is these people are college graduates overwhelmingly. If you're not, if you're dropped out of high school, get back in high school. If you're thinking about not going to college, go to college.
That's good to see you, Stewart. Thanks so much for being with us today. Much more to come on Good Day Alabama.